Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution. It's been a while, hasn't it? Welcome to episode, where are we at? 1364. It is Friday. It's a free-for-all Friday. We're going to play a little Name That Player coming up in a little bit. Let's see. It's December 27th. I don't think there's a holiday today. It is Hanukkah. Tonight will be the third night of Hanukkah. So we do have that. Boxing Day was yesterday. And of course, we had Christmas. Hopefully, everyone had a good holiday this week. It is weird. It is, working for myself, working from home. It's like, oh yeah, I guess it would suck. I was driving to the post office at the end of the day yesterday, and I drive by my old office, and I see like cars pulling. I'm like, oh yeah, they had to work today. That sucks. I forget about. And but it is, and it's also Madison Card Show week, which, by the way, Madison Card Show is tomorrow at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive, 9 a.m. to 3, 140 dealer tables, a nice uptick in vintage dealers this month. So come out, and maybe I'll go through kind of a list. It's been, as I expected, this is a tough week, tough weekend. I have some regulars out because of holidays. If you have four Christmases, great movie. You may have to go weekend before, weekend after. If you have big families and all that. So have some regulars that are out for Christmas celebrations. I've had, and then I had an injury. Let's see. Because of the holidays, a shop owner has to watch the shop. He doesn't have, so covering there. So there's been a lot of moving pieces this week, especially yesterday. Yesterday was the most active I've had with dealer cancels and just filling in holes, which is good. I mean, Thursday is good. If I have that type of movement, I would rather have it on Thursday than Friday, and especially not having to deal with any of that on Saturday, the day itself. But we've got everything covered, which is good. I just took, I think, 2, maybe 3 cancellations yesterday. I think 3. But it was really easy to get those filled. And if there are any more today, it'll be easy to get those filled as well. So tomorrow, Madison Card Show, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive, 140 tables, 9 to 3, free admission. A nice, and you're at a good point where I can cherry pick. Okay, they're Pokemon, don't need any more Pokemon. They're ultra modern, I can pass on that. If I have a vintage guy, I'm going to go to the vintage dealers first, and then we'll go from there. So nice to be able to spread the love and get a little variety amongst the new dealers or dealers that are filling in for the month. So I'm excited for the show. Hope you had a good Christmas. Mine was good. Ours was good. Let's see. When we were live on Christmas Eve, I did not go live yesterday. We had some weird weather. We've got a warm front that moved in, which is good. But it caused some headaches. It was okay here. We had really bad fog all day. But in the morning we had some ice. So the sidewalks were pretty icy in the morning. So my mom waited to head out until that started to melt away. She got home safely. So I had a ton of shipping to do. So I wanted to tackle that. So didn't have time to go live in the morning. Yesterday, sales were insane. Christmas Eve was slow, which I kind of expected. I expected Christmas Day to be slower than what it actually was. I absolutely crushed it. I had a crazy amount of sales on Christmas Day. And it carried over into yesterday, Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. I had a great amount of sales. Now that was kind of propelled, toward the end of the day. Although even without my auctions, I had a solid sales day yesterday. But I did have auctions that ended last night that really helped the final number as well. My December numbers, of course, I'm just waiting for the bottom to fall out here as we track the month compared to November. November was a solid month. And so far, I am tracking ahead of November's numbers. But the end of the month, the very end of the month, I had my Black Friday sales the last couple days of November. So right now, my net sales are up 32% over the first 26 days of November. Quantity sold is up 14%. So that's really good. My auction numbers are down, but my fixed price is way up. And this year I did hit a number that I was looking to hit. So I didn't really have, I kind of set like a daily goal, but I haven't done a good job of really like writing down, okay, I hit my number 24 out of 30 days this month. I haven't done that, but I think I want to do that on a monthly basis. I still want to do my daily number that I want to reach, but I want something that I can track a little easier. So now that I've been checking, my performance within eBay on a pretty regular basis as we close out the year, I think I'm going to kind of use that as a standard. Okay, I want to be X amount, because that holds me accountable and it pushes me. Especially here over the last couple months, I've really been pushing to sell and not just sit on stuff like, oh, I find value. Maybe it's not worth $5 today, but it might be $5 tomorrow. And then it just sits. And instead of being $5 tomorrow, it's $1 or less. Wander Franco. So just pushing to get sales and reach for the stars. So yeah, great week of sales so far. It's been a great month. December really turned around. The first 10 days to 2 weeks of December, it looked like it was going to be one of my worst months of the year. And now it's turning into be likely a top 4. We'll see how the last few days of December wrap up. I don't have any auctions now without the auctions, but we'll see. Cooter says, would you have hit your goal without auctions? So if it's hard to say because a lot of the auctions would have been buy it nows. So I probably could have sold it. Let's just pretend none of my auctions would have sold at buy it now. No, I would not have hit the number I wanted to hit without the auctions, assuming those numbers, those auction dollars would not have translated into buy it now sales. I would not have hit that number. So, and that's another thing. And I'm moving stuff. It's guaranteed sales. Hey, if something only sells for 99 cents and I was hoping to get $3, it's 99 cents. Maybe it may never have sold for $3. So that's kind of how I look at it. Last night's auctions, I don't think there's a lot of stuff that sells for 99 cents where it's like, God, I wish that would have sold for like $2. But for the most part, in a lot of my 99-cent auctions, and I have shipping. So even if it only sells for 99 cents, the buyer is paying for shipping. So I'm still making a little bit of money. The margins are slim, but the margins are better once on a per item basis, once somebody buys multiple. So I have multiple regular customers who are bidding on auctions and may win 40, 50 auctions in a night. And so that helps. So like having that. So that's kind of one thing. And I don't know if I don't want to really go into it today, but maybe as in the next few days, as we close out 2024, and I actually write my goals down for 2025. I don't have hobby goals, and I'm not going to make any hobby goals for 2025. It's been pretty easy to make hobby goals the last couple of years with the 1 Million Cubs project, but I hit the goal this year. So, what's next as far as my Cubs collection goes? Well, same as it's been for the last few years. I'd like to get it organized, but I just don't want to make the time to really get into that. I kind of want to focus all my time on the business side. And so that's kind of where everything's going to be in 2025. Yes, I'm still going to buy Cubs cards. I'm still going to try to organize, but it's not going to be a goal. Kind of like I just left my YouTube. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers. I had YouTube goals. I don't care. I just come on every morning. It's nice when the payouts come every month. But at the end of the day, it's not what pays the bills. I don't want to put time into doing YouTube videos because I'm not a YouTuber. I just turn the camera on and talk. That's what I do, not a YouTuber. So all my goals for 2025 will be strictly business, eBay related. I guess not strictly eBay, because there may be some other platforms that I use in 2025. Remains to be seen. What else is going on? So card show tomorrow. eBay sales were great this week. And hopefully we can push that momentum through the rest of December into 2025. Christmas Eve, my mom came up Christmas Eve in the afternoon. We really don't have like traditions. And I never really did growing up. We never had like, all right, Christmas Eve tradition, we go to aunt's house, we open presents, whatever. It just kind of varied from year to year. Now, typically growing up, I always opened one gift on Christmas Eve. And man, did it suck when you opened up socks on Christmas Eve. It's like, I hope it's NBA Live for Sega. And it's not. It's fucking socks. Damn it. I can't play with these. So I always opened one gift on Christmas Eve. Depending on the year, sometimes we went to my cousin's house, my aunt, uncle, and cousin's house, and just kind of hung out. My parents drank, and the kids played. Some years most years, I think we just stayed home. But we don't have like movie traditions. Although the funny thing is, and my wife is Jewish, so she obviously doesn't have any Christmas traditions. Although growing up Jewish, she did. It was go to the movies and eat Chinese. That was the Jewish tradition on Christmas Day. But my wife really likes watching Christmas movies on Christmas, which is like, that's the only day. Like, I'll be watching Hallmark Christmas movies on November 2nd. And my wife's like, really already? But on Christmas Day, she's like, let's watch a Christmas movie. And so I turned something on. It might have been Christmas Eve, and it was not a Christmas movie. And she's like, turn a Christmas movie on. And I'm like, really? So we just kind of watch Christmas movies. And really, like when my mom comes up, it's usually just the three of us. And sometimes my wife's grandma, she's not doing well health-wise. So she wasn't able to join us. But yeah, it's just, and we just like literally sit on the couch all day and watch Christmas movies. That's just kind of, we will open gifts. We don't really do gifts. Now we do gifts. It's more like stocking stuffers. And it's just kind of to the point where it's like, let's just, like, my wife and I stopped giving gifts to each other because it's just like, why? Let's just use any of the money that we were going to spend on gifts and just put it in the vacation. Like, we'll just spend it on vacation. There's no need to, because basically it came to, my wife sends me links to stuff she wants on Amazon. I send her links to stuff I want. And it's like, let's just buy the stuff on our own. Because it's kind of no fun when you just, and I'm a terrible gift giver. My wife's a wonderful, great gift giver. I am not. So we're just like, let's just not do that. My mom loves Christmas gifts. And so I don't want to completely, stop doing, because then it kind of ruins, like, then it's like, then what? So we do like, so I went on Christmas Eve, like my tradition, and just pick up stocking stuffers. So I did pretty well. Like, I just went to Walmart and I'm like, I just need to get some random shit for my mom. And I did well. Like I found, and I just go aimlessly wandering around, like, what would my mom like? And I found a cooler that looks like a purse. And it's like, by women for women or whatever. And it's like, this is perfect because my mom loves drink her beer, her Michelob Ultra. It looks like a purse. I'm like, this is perfect. She's a big reader. So I was going through and she's into fiction. I always have to think fiction or nonfiction. Fiction. And So kind of like crime fiction, whatever it is. So I picked out a book. Turns out she has not read it, but it's her. She's in a book club. They meet every month at the library, and it's the January book. And she's like, "Oh, I don't have this book, and I haven't read it, but it's our book club for January." I'm like, boom, perfect. And then we always pick up my mom magnets when we travel. So had a bunch of Switzerland magnets. I bought a Christmas ornament at Buc-ee's when I was with Cooter, and my wife had it on the counter like on Christmas Eve, and I'm like, "Oh, we didn't hang the Buc-ee's ornament," and she's like, "Oh, I thought this was for your mom," and I'm like, "Well, it is now. We'll put it in her stocking." So my mom has a Buc-ee's ornament. I don't think my mom puts up a tree. She also got an ornament from my school that I went to, and I'm like, she's like, "Yeah, I got an Anawan Braves ornament." I'm like, "Well, that's really cool. Why did you get a Braves ornament?" And she's like, "I don't know. They just sent it to me." And I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "I think I'm on some list." And I'm like, "What kind of list would you be on?" And she's like, "I think like old people in town are on a school list, and so they send gifts out to them." I'm like, that just doesn't. Maybe I don't remember having like an elderly program in my it's weird to think of your mom as elderly, but I guess she's 70. It doesn't seem elderly, but I guess maybe it is. So that's what we did in the morning. And my mom gives us stuff, and I tell her like, you don't need to give us gifts, but she does. So I got a gift card. So I'll use that on cards. And my mom found a bunch of like random packs, like Topps Heritage, and from like the last few years, like 2022, 23, and 24 Topps Heritage. There was a 2024 Topps Update hanger box, Stadium Club, and a Los Angeles Dodgers picture pack. She loves going to antique shops. So usually when she goes to an antique shop in like November, December, if she finds anything sports related, she'll buy it and then just give it to me for Christmas. So it has Don Drysdale, Sandy Koufax. So it's pretty cool. Little historical baseball gift. So yeah. So, and then we did something, and usually what we do on Christmas Day is like we open up gifts and then we just lounge around all day, and that's about it. And it's like, I wish we did something else. Like, I wish we at least move around a little bit. So, and we actually did, my wife's good friend, they were having like, just kind of they kind of do what we do, just like no plans. So like, we're going to do like an early dinner. So we went over there, and so it was my wife's friend and her husband, their two kids, and his mom and his sister. And it was basically, it's the kind of dinner that I hate sit down dinners. Absolutely despise sit down meals. I love buffet style. And I think it's because that's how I grew up. Like, we did holidays, and it was just like, there was no like, you must be here at 1:00 to eat lunch. And we always did daytime. We didn't do evening holiday dinners. We did during the day. And then like at night, it's like and usually like you just wherever it was Aunt Tinker's house, we just hung out there until the night, whatever. And so I hate sit down organized fancy dinners. Not even fancy, but just okay, dinner's at 6. And then like, oh, and then serving your plates. Like, no, let's just do buffet style. Sit wherever you want. You don't have to sit around the table. Like, it's just not, it's foreign to me. So I like just grazing. Like, okay, it's probably going to be ready at 4. Come over whenever. You can come at 3 and have a couple beers. You can come over at 6 and eat leftovers, whatever. Sit wherever you want. And that's kind of what this was on Christmas. So, they had the kitchen island bar for seating, table, just couch, sit wherever you want. Just go grab whatever. And that's the kind of dinners that I like. I don't like the formal sit down, be here at 6, and then you sit down and then you're finished and you just sit there and have conversation. And it's like, it's just not me. It's just not me. Can I go sit on the couch and watch the game? Like, we can have conversation over in the living room watching the football game. That's what I like. So that was our Christmas night. And then yesterday I just went back to the grind and did a whole bunch of shipping. Did some listing. Check out my eBay store, 99centcards.com. I did do some listing on Christmas Day. I had scanned some stuff in because I knew I was going to be on the couch a lot over the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I'm like, I'm going to scan some cards in and get these uploaded, when I have some time on the couch. So did that. And let's say, I don't know, maybe 200 on Christmas Day, listed a little bit more yesterday, listed some auctions both nights. So I've got auctions ending Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So 99centcards.com. Buy it now, buy 7 or more at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. And make sure to get your bids in on auctions. Discount does not apply to auctions, but getting your bids in, you're going to get some great steals and deals on the auctions over at 99centcards.com. I think there's about 250 auctions live right now. So there you go. Tomorrow's the Madison Card Show, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. I'll go through kind of a roster of what's going on tomorrow at the Madison Card Show. Let's go say hi to the chat. Kyle is here. Good morning. How about them Bears? Oh my God, man. What a shit game. Now, we knew it was probably going to be a shitty game. Thursday night football is just shitty, especially you're coming off, less time. And the NFL is so uniform, structured, and that's why Thursday football sucks. In my opinion, Thursday night games suck because it completely wipes out your normal routine. Just completely fucks the week up. And it shows on the field. And boy, did we see it last night. Now, the Bears aren't exactly world beaters, but they've played some good football this year, despite their record. But man, they laid an egg last night, and Caleb got sacked 7 times. It's like he made some poor decisions, and he's a rookie quarterback. Everyone, not everyone, most people, a lot of people are judging him like he's been in the league for 10 years. And there's a number 1 overall pick like every year. And I feel like Caleb Williams has been, and maybe that's because I'm a Bears fan. So I'm more, I'm seeing it on a daily basis with my quarterback. But it feels like he's being scrutinized more than any other quarterback in the history of the NFL. And he's putting up, for a rookie quarterback on a terrible team, he's putting up amazing numbers this year. Does he make mistakes? Absolutely. Veteran quarterbacks who've been in the league, the greats, the all-time greats, make mistakes. But he's under a microscope. And he was sacked another 7 times last night. And, there's a couple where it's like, sometimes he just doesn't have time to react. The offensive line just isn't picking up any of the blitzes. And he just, he can it's almost like he's got to just run backwards and throw the ball in the air to avoid a sack. There were a couple, at least 1 and probably 2 occasions where it's like that he's got to take a sack there, like nothing else you can do. There was a couple where it's like, come on, like you can't you can't hold on to the ball and take a sack there. I had a touchdown called back because the fucking offensive line, 4th and 1, offensive line, holding call on the touchdown that was called back. Great throw. Caleb Williams made some Patrick Mahomes-esque passes and plays last night. One of which was the touchdown that was called back because of the fucking offensive line. So Bears lose again, which we want losses at this point. So I think right now they're in line for the 7th overall pick, but we still have this week's games. So I'll be scoreboard watching, and they'll be tied because I think two teams, the Bears are 4-12 now. There are two teams that are 3-12 that play each other. So one of those teams has to win. I think it's the Jaguars and Browns, Jags and Browns, maybe. It's two teams that are 3-12 that play each other. So that there's one team that has to win. So we're scoreboard watching and rooting for wins. Go Jets. And I think they play the Bills. So that's going to be tough for Mark Marinello's Jets. But man, just a shitty game last night. My God. Uncle Rich is here. Good morning. Yes, hit the like button, subscribe, buy some stuff out of my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Rich says, I woke up and saw that score and was like, whoa, yeah, that's what we were all saying. I think Al Michaels said it best during the broadcast. He goes, Chicago and Seattle played earlier this year and also finished in a 6-3 final score. The Mariners beat the White Sox in July by a score of 6-3. Donald Davis, good morning. Scott Jonas, is it urgent care? I feel like crap. Oh, that sucks. The Christmas crud. Well, hopefully you feel better. Holiday crud. Johnny Boy Card, what's happening? Good morning. Happy Friday. Such a bad game last night. Yeah, awful, brutal. Victor, good morning. Holmes in the house, what's happening? Finally have a chance to catch a live stream. Hard to watch while driving to an awesome job in transportation. There you go. There you go. Enjoy your day as well as you can. Philly Joe's in the house. Good morning. Donald says, card show in Springfield, Illinois this Sunday at the Route 66. I say Route 66. I say route everything else, but I call it Route 66. Hotel 10-3 on Sunday. I used to set up at that show back in, I've talked about this before, Mr. Fair to Good was set up there. Loved his beater vintage. Man, when was that? Probably 2006? 2005. Yeah, probably 2004, 5, 6, somewhere in that vicinity. Gary, was Gary still the promoter? Gary was the promoter when I was setting up down there. Kevin Hawthorne's here from Lakeland, Florida. What's happening? Dan's in the house out in South Korea. Good evening. Holmes says, just miss out when you can only watch the replay. You miss on the chat. Yeah, you miss the chat. Always come with a question, though. If you were just starting out, would you get a hobby case for 2025 Top Series 1 or hit up card shows and through bargain boxes to get the inventory? Series 1, I always go case. Well, I shouldn't say I always. Series 1, I would go case. As long as you get it week of release and you have a system down where you can get everything sorted and listed within like a day or 2 days. Depends on when, typically my deliveries are around lunchtime, which is nice. My old house, it was late afternoon, but around lunchtime I can hammer and I can basically get everything of the case ripped in that afternoon. Then I can start sorting and then even get some listings up, early evening and then use the second full day or second day to hammer out the listing. So I would suggest on Series 1, as long as you can get it for a good price, which Top Series 1 you can usually find for a good price pretty easily on Blowout or Tops.com, wherever, and you can get it at release, I would suggest buying a case of Flagship as opposed to waiting, because by the time it's ripped and set out at card shows, it's pretty much done. You got to be quick. That's also, you also have to be quick. If you can be efficient and get it all listed within a couple days, you'll be good. But if you're not going to be fast with it, if it's going to take a week, then I would say just wait. And hopefully you can find a show. Now with Top Series 1, the further out you go, the less and less it's going to sell. You've got to, if you get it day one, boom, list everything you can. And you'll get it get it all up. So I would suggest getting a case as long as you can within those means, get it listed. Uncle Rich says you shipped the fog down here to DFW, and I think it's still a little. It's not as foggy as it was yesterday, so the fog has lifted somewhat. It stuck around all day yesterday. And actually, I think it got thicker as the day wore on. When I went to the post office at 4 or 5 o'clock last night, it was really thick, thicker than what it was in the morning. And usually it's like it wears off, by lunchtime. But looks like it's wore off. I think we're supposed to be in the 40s tomorrow, so knock on wood, shouldn't have to deal with any winter weather for the Madison Card Show this weekend, which is always something. It's always a toss-up. We've been fortunate, but I'm waiting. There's going to be a time where we get hit, and it's gonna ruin our show. But doesn't appear to be December, so fingers crossed for January. Holmes says your comments the other day on how much wax you ripped in 2024 was a surprise to me. Surprised that you thought I ripped more or less. Do I have my numbers in 2024? Oh, yes, I still have my. So this isn't all wax. So I'm trying to do. I mean, I spent a lot of money on wax. I'm just trying to look through here. Okay, so I probably spent about $8,000 on wax in 2024, maybe less. I'm going through some of this. I'm going through my numbers, my inventory and this is actually this is my fiscal year. Yeah. So this is 2023, 2024. So this is October 1st, 2023 through the end of September of this year. Because not all of this, I mean, there's a lot of like card show pickups on my inventory purchases. The estate sales in here. And like other stuff like Pearl Jam posters. So yeah, probably I'd say 6,000 to 7,000 after, because some of that estate sale, that was 1,600 right there. That's 2,000 from had a couple big collection buys. So I'd say 6,000 to 7,000 on wax, which is more than I thought I would spend. Next year, so my plans, and I expect to spend less next year. I didn't spend this Black Friday. I didn't spend any money on wax for Black Friday, Black November deals. Going into next year, I will do a case of Series 1. I think I'm going to skip Heritage and Big League. And I'll probably skip Ginter. As much as I like Ginter, it's just, I could go look to see what my numbers are. Gross, I've done more gross, but obviously I've got fees and shipping that accounts for it. So I may have hit break even by now on the Ginter. But Big League, I think I took a loss. I did make money on Heritage. I made money on Series 1. It probably was a Y. It probably equaled out. The good thing is when ripping new wax, especially Series 1, it does drive traffic to your store. And I see a lot of sales outside of just the wax that I rip. But I ripped less. I spent less on wax this year than I did in 2023. And I hope to spend even less in 2025. Mikey's in the house. Hello, everyone. I'm here. He's running a 50% off sale if you buy 5 or more cards store-wide. Dan says it took him 10 years to find a Burley 2009 Topps Chrome Gold Refractor, albeit overpaid. 10 years. Wow. And so that must be why gold refractors are such a premium. Because I'm surprised when I list gold refractors, and I just need to remember, I'm just going to list these at auction. Now, I had some gold refractors last night. I think I had a couple. One went for lower than I expected. I think one went for higher. And I think they weren't like Mark Burley. They were, no name guys. So we hit that question. Cooter asked, would you have hit your goal without auctions? We answered that earlier. Orlando, what's happening? Good morning. Jordan's in the house. Good morning. Mark is here. What's happening? Merle says, had a rancid smell coming from the living room last night. Seemed to go away when I turned off the game. Yeah, that rancid smell was in my basement last night. Orlando says, can't believe the year is almost over. Seems like time passes faster as you get older. It does. So I found something, I read this several years ago. Let me see if I can find it. And once you read it or hear it, it all makes sense. And after I put that into perspective, it's like, oh wow, this really makes a lot of sense. All right, and it's basically it's about the numbers. It's not about perception. Let's see. This is perception. Okay, so basically, so basically, when you're 5 years old, 1 year is 20% of your life. When you're 60, 1 year is 1/60th. So what's that, like 2%, less than 1.5% of your life? So it was basically just like, okay, wow, at age 5, this is 20%. At age 10, that's 10%. At age 20, so on and so forth. And so, it's just the perception in our brain. Time is undefeated. John says, Bears scored less points than they have wins. That is correct. And who would have thought? Who would have thought? Only one more week for them to get to 10 wins. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Orlando Wright, 2 comments in a row. Philly Joe says, we had a family white elephant Christmas Eve for the first time. It was awesome. A bunch of steals, but no fights. LOL. I'm an old people in my town. I get no freebies, says John. How often do you sell the cards your mom buys you, and how do you sleep at night? Very often. I'll probably, of all the cards she bought, I'll keep less than 10. And the funny thing is, she buys cards for me with the intent for me to sell them, unless they're Cubs. She knows that I'll just keep the Cubs. But if she buys a box of cards, she'll be like, how much can you sell those for? And it's like, well, Mom, they're 1989 tops. So unfortunately, not very much. So she knows that. And that's kind of the point. She sell this for more. Let's see. Orlando says, John, there's a Cracker Jack Keating card at auction on Memory Lane. John wants to know, he needs the 1914. Oh, bummer. The 1914 is super tough. John says, thanks for the heads up. There's a 1914 on eBay, but it's about $3,500. Ouch. I got my 1915 for much cheaper than I thought I would. Uncle Rich says, buffet setup makes so much more sense. Amen. Amen. Especially when you're dealing with, my mother-in-law used to have these huge holiday meals. And we're talking, and Uncle Rich will understand, Jewish mother. And I mean, some holidays there'd be 20 to 30 people. And it was a formal sit down. It was crazy because you set up all these tables. You had the big dining table. Then you had all these other tables. It's like, we eat at 6. It's like, really? So yeah, buffet setup, especially when it's a big group trying to corral people to make dinner at 6. I mean, my family, you could not. I want to go back to this. In my family, like you could not. You tell my brother noon, and he'll show up at 1:30. He's like, what? And like my wife's family is a little more on time. My family, not so much. Card Collector says, I finally realized who you remind me of. You're like a young Michael Emerson. I have no idea. I got to Google. Is or was. Am I going to be? Oh, yeah. I can see the glasses. Let's see. Person of interest. I don't think I've ever seen that. You know, he's a Midwest guy, Michael Emerson. He was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I think we've got at least one listener from maybe two. Shane is in Cedar Rapids. Let's see. What's his filmography? All right. So he's mostly TV. I don't know who Michael Emerson is. He was in The Practice. I don't think I ever watched that. Law and Order, Criminal Intent, Without a Trace. I watched Without a Trace. Oh, he was just like a one episode. Oh, he was in Lost. 79 episodes of Lost, but I never watched Lost either. I didn't watch Person of Interest. Arrow, never seen that. Evil, never watched that. Dan says he's loving Person of Interest. Michael Renicke's in the house. Good morning. Uncle Rich says, does anyone think it's interesting that a person who made his hobby rep talking to people on YouTube would prefer not to have conversations? John says, are you doing anything to prevent poxes or hexes at the Madison Card Show? Not yet, but there could be a concern. We'll see how it plays out. Thursday night football would only be played by teams coming off a bye. If I were commissioner, I would vote for you for commissioner. Because I mean, you're totally fucking up the routine. Even in the college ranks, like you had this structured routine, and when we would play, we would usually open on a Thursday, which is okay because you haven't built your routine. It's not like it's week 15. Week 1, you're not as structured. So a Thursday night opening to the college football season was okay. But every once in a while we would play like on a Friday or a Thursday, and it totally messed up the routine. And coaches, even in the high school ranks, coaches are like, they hate Saturday games because they've got an extra day of preparation. Or now, at least in Illinois, there's a shortage on officials. And there's a lot of teams that have to play on Thursdays and Saturdays during the regular season because they need to stretch the officials out. And coaches just hate that. Christian is here. Good morning. Card Collector says, I don't know about the worst. My Giants have both Tommy DeVito and Daniel Jones. The Jaguars have Mac Jones. I've got a RPA Mac Jones in my eBay store. I just lowered the price again. John says Caleb Williams is not under a microscope by the majority of football fans. He's just another first-round QB that may or may not pan out. No emotional investment. And I think it's just, for me, like I consume Chicago Bears content. So even the talking heads, when they're talking about Caleb Williams, and I guess it's no different than last year who was the number 1 overall pick last year or 2 years ago. Trevor Lawrence was a number 1 over. He was under a microscope. I think every number 1 quarterback is under a microscope. And I would say every number 1 quarterback is under a microscope by maybe not the majority, but by many football fans, and especially in the hobby, people are watching. Although in the hobby, it feels like Caleb Williams is not under that microscope like Trevor Lawrence was. I feel like Trevor Lawrence was under the hobby microscope more so than Caleb Williams. Merle says, and he's a Bears quarterback, which means he is guaranteed to not work out. Dan says, one doesn't have to win. There are ties in the NFL. That's true. But it will affect the percentage. John says USC quarterbacks are neck and neck with OSU quarterbacks. Paul Carl's in the house. Good morning. John says Darnold, Sanchez, Leinart. It's scan o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. Merle says, do you consider the Bears the worst 4-2 team or the best 4-13 team ever? Remains to be seen. Johnny M says, good morning. I have one goal for 2025. Don't die. That's a good goal. Next December, I'll let you know if I make it. Good luck. John says, Bo pushing the Series 1 Ponzi scheme again. There you go. Buy Series 1. I wish I was getting a kickback for it. Merle says, hey, Paul, I scanned a lot of cards to work on later. Then I can use CDP to hammer out a couple batches here and there. Not a bad system. Donald says, yes, Gary is still the promoter for the Springfield Card Show. He's been doing the show for over 30 years. Wow. Max says a case of Series 1 is a better spend than handpicking $6 to $800 in singles from a show. It's always singles for me. Series 1, yes. 100%. 100%. John says, I love shows that predate the COVID boom. They've earned their stripes. Amen. John says, Drew Herndon's memory also impacted by the fog. Yeah. I don't know if you're all familiar with Drew Herndon. Is or was on the Hobby Hotline panel, but if you're in any of the scammer groups on Facebook, he allegedly did some bad things. So Drew Herndon in the hobby scammer news. Merle says, my favorite New Year's resolution is to build a Velcro wall. I'll let you know if I stick to it this year. Holmes says, was surprised you ripped so much wax this year. Once I put the numbers down, it's like, man, I spent a lot of money on wax this year. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Mr. Archer, good morning. Card Collector says, I pulled an Allen and Ginter orange refractor numbered 17 of 25. Gaylord Perry game-used relic from the Royals. That's cool. And there's not too many Gaylord Perry Royals cards. That's pretty cool. John says, I ripped 1991 Comic Ball yesterday. Had 12 cards in my collection and about 20 unopened packs for some reason. Merle says, how much did he spend on waxing? It's the anniversary year of Ginger next year. Ginter should be great. Ginger for Gilligan's Island. Max says it's a 15-year-old card, though. That matters just as much as the color. Scott says, good morning from the west side. John says, Rich ain't turning down buffet or sit down. His answer is incomplete. John says, we do neither buffet nor sit down. We just try to make sure each of the DoorDash shows up within 15 minutes of each other. Michael Emerson trending on Google for some reason. Max says, showing up at 1:30 when you were told noon around here. Don't come hungry. John says, I flew into Cedar Rapids Airport this summer. Wow. SoCal guy says lost. Matt likes Cedar Rapids in the house. Person of Interest is a great show. Top 10er for me. I'll have to check that out. Seems like a show that I would like. James says, what's going on? Are you setting up? I am not. I probably won't set up at the Madison Card Show for the foreseeable future just because it's a pain in the ass for me to do both. And there's plenty of dealers that I'd rather get in than my garbage. So my next show will be February. Because I won't be doing Rockford in January is the same day as the Madison Card Show. They're doing a Windy City Bulls game, but it's the weekend of Cubs convention. So I'll miss out on the premiere shows in January. February, though, I think is Janesville. So I think I'll be doing Janesville in February. Orlando says, John as commissioner would have a better halftime show versus Beyonce $20 million for 13 minutes. John says, I think the hobby may be moving on from NFL QBs. Uncle Rich says, we're well aware on Hobby Hotline about the Drew Herndon issues as posted on Facebook. Max says, so you're going to get minimum $2,500 from a case of Series 1. No. And you're not going to get a minimum buying singles, especially if you wait till a card show on Series 1. Now, if you're buying other stuff with that money, probably. But rip and flip on Series 1, you'll double your money. My 2025 goal is to build my sports card sorting robot. There you go. So, oh, wait, minimum 2,500. So yeah, you probably would make 2,500. I'm trying to think what a case is. Maybe not. Maybe probably around double your money. It might maybe not be quite. No, because a case is around 1,200. Yeah. I'd have to go back. It's hard for me to look at tops because I don't have it sorted by series one. Did I do a breakdown of my? I probably didn't. But yeah, now that it's probably, I'd say 2,500 is probably a good return on it. Max says, I can't believe anybody ever trusted that slimy little thing. He has stepped back a lot from Hobby Hotline, and I think we'll continue on that path. That's probably a good idea. When I was on Hobby Hotline, I was not a fan, and this was several years ago. I was not a fan because he did shady shit back then. Max says he was a walking billboard for meth. Spam Likely's in the house. Cooter says, it boggles the mind to think of all the money lost on all the hot COVID QB cards that sold for stupid money during the boom. Uncle Rich says, Ginger on Gilligan's Island is the last one standing. L1C, what's up? Why is there an H at the end of Pittsburgh? I bet there's a reason. I don't know the reason, but I bet there is. You want to Google it? Why is there an H? It's probably something to do with like European stuff. Why is there an H at the end? Oh, there we go. Google knew. Here we go. Here's from Google. Pittsburgh has an H at the end of its name because the city was named after William Pitt. That doesn't answer our question. Who had Scottish roots. And in Scotland, city names often end in burg, B-U-R-G-H. The H was originally part of the name, but was dropped in a printing error in the city's charter in 1816. In 1891, the federal government standardized city names and removed the H from cities ending in burg. However, after a campaign by Pittsburghers, the H was reinstated in 1911. There you go. There's a little history on Pittsburgh and why there is an H. It's from its Scottish roots, but apparently it was a back and forth in the old-timey days. Max says, point proven by singles for inventory. While most of the time I agree with you, this one I do not. Series 1, buy the case. Because it's a proven winner. And it drives additional traffic to your eBay store because a lot of people are looking for Series 1. It's by far the best case to rip. You'll make money. If you know how to do it, you'll make money. Easy. You'll make money. Allen and Ginter, crapshoot. Heritage, crapshoot. Big League, crapshoot. Anything else, crapshoot. Top Series 1, you'll make money. Drives extra traffic to the store. Just do it. Or don't. You don't have to. If I had $20 million to spend on Beyonce, putting here in a halftime show is way down on the list of tasks I have for her. Oh, what kind of tasks do you have for her? Max says, you think Rich, you shouldn't have him anywhere near your brand. I 100% agree. And there was some shady stuff going on a few years ago, and it's like, I don't really want to be associated with this guy. Uncle Rich says, the thing with Series 1 is many people who are kind of sort of collectors, old and new. Absolutely. Still buy Series 1 out of tradition. Yeah, absolutely. Series 1 is a big win, in my opinion. Flatulence at my age, also a possible crapshoot. There you go. There you go. All right, we're 55 minutes in. I think it's about time to play Name That Player. Let's do it. Name that player. We've got a mix, mostly baseball, a few football, some, I think one basketball. Max says, so you think you would do better ripping a case of Series 1 instead of taking $600 to $800 and buying out of Dell's boxes? Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Dell has great boxes, but I'm ripping a case of Series 1 instead. 100%. 100 times out of 100. Yes. East Coast Tom, good morning. Go Navy. Orlando says the good old days, people protested for an H in Pittsburgh. Max says, man, that's crazy talk. Rich says, well, yes, but I'll wager he won't be on Hobby Hotline for. He should never be on Hobby Hotline again. It shouldn't be a while. It should be never. Matt Like says, I'm ready for all 1989 Pro Set for Name That Player one of these weeks. Oh, do I have any Pro 89? I don't have any 89 Pro Set. I have Pro Set. First card is a Pro Set card. Let's see. Max says, right, Orlando, these days people burn down cities for that. He should never see the light of day in the hobby. Innocent until proven guilty. I think there's enough smoke around Drew Herndon that I think I'm gonna believe the guy that posted. All right, let's play Name That Player. Let's play Name That Player. Let's get this one up. Max in the lead, 13 points. Card Hobbyist in second with 6. And we've got a 3-way tie for third between Michael Renicky, Peter, and Uncle Rich. Dave Arnold with 4 points is sleeping in because he is a teacher on Christmas break. Or they probably don't call it Christmas break. They probably call it holiday break, which is okay. All right, here we go. Name That Player. Pro Set. Now, I'll take his name on the card, or I'll accept any of his other names, and I'll let you figure out what that would mean. If you know, you know. I'm going to bring up my YouTube. Free for All Friday. I'm going to hit the like button while I'm here. Boom. Like button is hit. Let's see. It is not Ham. It is not Banfield. It is a wrestler guy, but we will not take that. John Maybe. He is a wrestler guy, but he never went by that. John Layfield, JBL, Justin Hawk Bradshaw. What other aliases did he go by? But John Layfield, JBL is correct. John Maybe on the board. And let's see. Oh, that's your second point. 2 points for John. Moving up. Next, we're going baseball. There we go. All right. Next up, baseball. Modernish product, but a vintage player. Oh, this one's got a little crease on it. Cleveland Indians. Not Joe Carter. Predates Joe Carter, but this guy did play for both the Indians and the Cubs, like Joe Carter. It is Andy Thornton. Andre Thornton. First to get it was Christian. What's up? Christian Anderson with the point, I believe. Let me double check. Carter, Franco, Robinson, Thornton. Christian got it. Christian got it on Thornton. Uncle Rich, you were second. That's the first point for Christian. All right, next. Hey, another Indian, but it's vintage. A true vintage. Same era as Andre Thornton. Christian says, I'm on my home Wi-Fi today, so he has a chance. All right. Cleveland Indians vintage. Same era as Andre Thornton. Obviously, it's not Andre Thornton. This is a tough one. There's a couple toughies in here today. If you know your 78 tops, you might get this one. It is Jim Norris. Norris is correct. Uncle Rich with the point. Jim Norris. Uncle Rich says it's not a tough one. All right. Uncle Rich moves up, and he's now in a tie for second with Card Hobbyist. All right. We go to neither junk wax football, nor is it modern football. It's somewhere in between on the next one. All right. Rams. St. Louis Rams. All right, here we go. I forgot for Max, we can only do 2000 to present. Orlando Pace is correct. We got a whole bunch of, let's see. Not Slater or Spam Likely was the first. Spam Likely. All right, we had Spam Likely was first. Christian was second. Matt Like was third. Nick is in the house. He was in fourth. Max was in fifth. Michael Renicky sixth. Rich was seventh. All right. So Spam Likely with Pace. All right. Next up, we've got, we're throwing it way back on the Yankees here. Way back on the Yankees. It is not Babe Ruth. It is Phil Rizzuto, L1C with the correct and fastest. Max was second. Rich was third. Phil Rizzuto. L1C. And I think you got points last week, correct? Or no? Nope, that's the first for L1C. All right, next up. Modern basketball. Modern basketball. Fred VanVleet is correct. Fred VanVleet, Max with the point. I'm glad Max got a point so he wouldn't cry today. Will Max gets upset when he doesn't know the answers. All right, next up, Cubbies, Junk Wax. Michael Renicky says he's got the slow internet today. It is not Smith. It is not Hill. Uncle Rich gets George Bell. George Bell. George Bell. All right. And Uncle Rich moves into sole possession of second place. All right. Next up, we're going 80s football. 80s football. This is a tough one. Offensive lineman for the Colts. Where's Mikey at? He always wants Colts. It is Chris Hinton. Matt Like with the point on Hinton. Wow, a couple people got this one. Christian got it. SoCal guy knew it. Uncle Rich knew it. Michael Renicky, Tom Coleman. Wow. Chris Hinton. I would have never guessed Chris Hinton. Matt Like with the point. He's at 3 now. And that moves him. Oh, still tied with, or now moves into a tie with that dude. All right. Next up, Chris Hinton traded for John Elway. Ooh, 70s. All right. So we've got 2 70s baseball and a modern football to wrap it up for today. 74 Tops baseball, Pirates. That's a tough one. Wow, not for Uncle Rich. Fernando Gonzalez. Wow, Michael Renicky knew it. Scott Hermanson knew it. How about that? Uncle Rich with the point, and he is now at 8. All right, next up, modern football. A shiny one. A lot of answers, but none of them are correct. All right, so it is not Bigsby. It is not Fournette. It is not Etienne. It is not Walker. It is not Burrow. It is not MJD. It is not Brian Thomas. It is not Bigsby. It is not Barkley. It is not Fred. It is not Means. It is not T-Law. L1C. It is Robinson. L1C would have been easier. Where's L1C at? James Robinson from Rockford, Illinois. L1C with his second point of the day. Moving on up. And one last go. We got 70s baseball. Royals, 70s baseball. Royals, 70s baseball. You can start guessing. Take a drink of water. 70s baseball. It is not Willie Wilson. It's not George Brett. It's not Bobby Witt. It's not John Wathan. It's not Paul Splitorf. It's not Washington or Saberhagen or White or Patek. It's not Frank White, not Cookie Rojas. Scott Hermanson gets it. Scott Hermanson with the point. It is Amos Otis. Scott with the point. Didn't even have to look at the card. Point to Scott. All right. Where are we at? I think that's your first point this round, correct? Let's see. It is. So we got Christian, Spam Likely, and Scott with their first points of this round today. All right. So here is the leaderboard. Max with 14, Uncle Rich in second with 8, Card Hobbyist in third with 6, Michael Renicky, Peter and Michael Renicky tied with 5, Dave Arnold and Scotty Dubs tied with 4, that dude from Duryea and Matt Like with 3 points apiece. Shane Zager has 2 along with John Maybe and L1C, both of those performers getting to 2 points today. Philly Joe Unicorn Cupcake with 1 point, and today getting their first points of this round, Christian Anderson, Spam Likely, and Scott Hermanson. All righty. Let's see. Where are we at? Max says, Rich, they stole a point from you. There you go. Tomorrow, Madison Card Show. Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. Before I go, do a little rundown of tomorrow's dealers at the show. We've got a nice mix of new dealers in. Eric Wolf is coming down from Green Bay. He's got some, I know he's usually got some like vintage wax. He's big into, especially like early 80s. I know a buddy of mine bought some like 83 Topps wax boxes from him. I know he's usually got some bangers in his showcase as well. So Eric's going to be there. We've got Ryan. He's a Pokemon guy. Ray's got kind of a mix, mostly modern. He's coming up from Chicago, Southside Chicago. Adam is in the Williamson Ballroom. He's got Pokemon. Chris, and he has modern. Jordan is modern. Chad is modern. Dustin Devers. He's got mostly modern sports. Adrian is Pokemon. Ray, a lot of bargain boxes from Ray. I think he's got a showcase with some nice stuff. Another Ray. I think he's got modern. Joe has got modern. Josh, modern. Cody is Pokemon. Gary is vintage. Bronco is going to be in the house. Bronco and East Coast Tom will be right next to each other. East Coast Tom's got some great stuff. I love Tom's setup because it's stuff that you don't see. He's got stuff that nobody else has. Christian, mostly Pokemon. I think he does some soccer as well. Craig, great bargain boxes. He's also got some like autographed memorabilia. Steve Summers, big supplier. He's got tons of boxes and top loaders. He's also got a showcase with some nice stuff. Michael Renicky will be in the house. Michael's got a nice mix, vintage and modern. Tim is mostly modern. Another Tim, I think the second Tim Walter, I think does a mix, but I think he's got some vintage. Alan's coming up. He's got some really nice modern stuff. Tyler is Pokemon. AJ, he's got some really high-end soccer, like really high-end soccer. My buddy Adam from Bridgeport Hobbies coming up. He'll have a table. He's mostly buying. Mark is a new first-time dealer, and he's got vintage. He's a vintage first-time dealer, so I'm excited. I think he said, and I'm maybe getting my dealers mixed up, but I think he said this is the first show he's done in a long time. I think he's coming up from Central Illinois. Andy will be here. He's got a mix of mostly modern stuff. Richard, he's got a small showcase, mostly does buying. Eddie is mostly vintage. Jim Lyon, one of our sponsors, the Lion's Den. He's got some usually vintage stuff, but it's on the more obscure type of stuff. Mike Mahan is back for the second month. He's got a really, really cool vintage. What I like about Mike's stuff is he's got beater, like tobacco beaters, like not 3s and 4s and 5s. It's 1s, and I love the beaters. He also has a vintage bargain box that I didn't see until the end of the show, so I'm going to be hitting that up tomorrow. Badger Brakes will be back. They do a lot of modern. They also have new wax. The Seacrests, they have usually one table of Pokemon and then two big showcases of modern sports. The Rockford guys that run Premier Card Shows will be set up. They're also with Minted Card. They just opened up a shop in Rockford, Minted Cards. I have Tyler down twice. Let's see. Sheena's in the house. He's got sports and Pokemon. Honto Gaming is TCG. Keto is TCG. Eric with I'm going through a whole bunch of stuff. I don't need to go dealer by dealer because I still have like 50 more to go. But first timers, let's see. Matt's back. He does vintage. He hasn't set up in several months. Tom is back after a couple months off. He's all vintage. Let's see who else is new or back. Ross is back. He's modern, but he took a couple months off. Landis is back after a few months off. He's modern. He's got some bangers. Scotty P is back for the first time in a long time. He's got a lot of modern stuff. Let's see. Bruce from Minnesota coming down. He's got some bangers. Let's see. Okay. And I think I went through all the first timer returning guys. All right. Where are we at? Michael says, rough showing for me today. Going to have to get an interweb booster. There you go. Orlando says he's still perfect. 0 points. ECT with a dime box extravaganza. Love it. Blowing out the bargain boxes. John says, I predict a Drew Herndon comeback in 2035. He'll host a show with Mark's Cards, Mastro, Sports Card Therapist, and all of the other hobby people currently in the Witness Protection Program. That's a long list, and that's just short. Dustin Bieber, any relation to Justin? Reminds me of all the mob guys enjoying YouTube success in 2024. Bustin' Jeeber. Max says, ECT, forever taking my employee at every Madison card show. Most people would just say dad instead of employee. Max says, Renicky still being unfriendly on the other side of the room again, or did he move back to the good side? He will be back on the good side this month, and I think I found a permanent location for Michael Renicky. He just doesn't know it yet. Surprise! Although tomorrow's location will be not permanent, but I'm going to move him one slot over, and I think he can, if he likes it, he can stay there. Otherwise, he's going to be a vagabond and move all over the room. John says, by the way, I'll lay off Herndon when he comes clean and gets clean. Until then, he has no shame and receives none from me. Amen. I'm with John on that. Max says, during the show, it's employee. Michael says, Max, not sure where I'll be as long as he keeps me away from Tom. Tom is a meanie. You're going to be closer to Tom this month. By the way, happy birthday to your dad, Max. Oh, by the way, Max and his dad celebrated birthdays this week. Happy birthday. Tom says, Renicky couldn't compete with the crowds around our tables. We got some dealer talk. Yeah. Let's see. Max says, Tom, that's kind of what I figured. Understand, probably thinks Pokemon is disgusting like the other guy. Michael can't wait. Excited to see everyone and play with cards. Max will be set up as well. Don't worry. You were one of the 50 that I didn't mention. You were down on the list in the M's. Kyle B might even make an appearance. He did mention that. Meeting him for lunch today. Awesome. He did when I saw him in Dallas a couple months ago or last month, whenever it was. He did say he might make an appearance at the December show because he'll be back for Christmas. Tom says, is it true Renicky makes more from renting cases than he does selling cards? He says false, but I wish. Max says, I thought he had a permanent location, Rip. He did, and then he wanted to change. I'll bring my knapsack on the end of a stick. There you go. Uncle Rich says, happy birthday. John says, have fun at the card show tomorrow. Don't be dicks. We will not be dicks, witches, or warlocks. All right. Have a great Friday. Have a great Saturday, because I won't see you unless I see you tomorrow. I'll see Michael Renicky. I'll see Max. I'll see Tom. I'll see who else is in the chat that'll be there tomorrow. Just you three? Because I don't think Sheena's in the chat. I don't think Bronco's in the chat. And if you are, I'm sorry I missed you. All right. So tomorrow, Madison Card Show, 9 to 3, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive, 140 dealer tables, free admission. Hope to see you there. Madison Card Show. If I don't see you there, I'll see you Sunday here on Hobby Evolution. We'll run live at about 8:30 a.m. Central Time on Sunday morning. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend. Spend some of your eBay gift cards on my eBay store, 99centcards.com. I'll splash that on the screen one last time. 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more, buy it now at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. I have auctions running again as well. Get those bids in. I've got about 250 auctions running. They'll be ending next Wednesday and Thursday night. So check those out. 99centcards.com. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a great weekend. And we'll be back on Hobby Evolution Sunday morning. See you there.